Shout out to BABATV. Black Power.
Man, BABATV, man, it's lit. Man, y'all check it out right now on YouTube. Subscribe to
BABATV.
Black Power.
Peace and Black Power. You know, I'm in Washington, D.C. And, you know, I didn't forget, but I had to. Before I leave and go back to New York, I have to give the people that is centered here in Washington, D.C. a shout out. Frances Cress Welsing, a powerful sister who led the way on teaching us about what white supremacy is, was, and still continues to be. Even though she's not here physically no more, she left a lot of information on what white supremacy is and how is intertwined in our everyday life. So that sister made a very good contribution in her giving that information to us. Also, another brother that I got to give a shout out to is Tony Browler, who is very insightable on Egypt. A lot of movies he break down, you know what I'm saying, you know, what the movie was about, what was behind the scenes in the movies, you know what I'm saying. He did that with Precious. If y'all didn't see it, y'all need to go look at that particular DVD where he really breaks down the movie Precious and what it actually means and what was going on in the movie, you know what I'm saying. Also, he gives us a very powerful insight on Egypt, the different dynasties that went on in Egypt, what different rulers and pharaohs did in that period in time. He does a very good job in explaining what happened in Egypt. As a matter of fact, he's in Egypt now digging some stuff up that him and Professor Smalls and Dr. Jeffrey and them are actually involved in, you know what I'm saying, getting some, exposing some more information in Egypt, you know what I'm saying, as we speak. Also, my brother, Irritated Genie, you know what I'm saying, I got to give the brother a shout out because I'm in his town, and I have to say that I love the work that he's doing. I love the message that he's sending to the people. And I love what he's doing, man, in his own community that's Washington, D.C., man, you know what I'm saying, actually explaining to the people what's going on. You know what I'm saying, you know, in Africa and all over the world, you know what I'm saying. This brother is doing a very powerful job. And so a shout out to that brother, you know what I'm saying, you know, and anybody else. And also to Hootie, I haven't met the brother, but he's out here. He's in Washington, D.C. I got to give the brother a shot. I never met him, but Baba tells me, you know what I'm saying, this brother's, he knew his brother for a long time, and I seen some of the things that he was saying, and I totally agree with his information, you know what I'm saying, so I got to give that brother a shout out also, you know what I'm saying, you know, before I leave D.C. I have to say this. Earlier, I was in Northeast, where I used to live. In 1989, I came from New York to Washington, D.C. to actually 19th and Rosedale in Northeast. And I used to live there with my baby mother. And you know what I'm saying, at the time I was there, you know what I'm saying, I came there to get money. I came there to actually sell drugs, and I'm going to keep it 100, you know what I'm saying? But I went through hell because I ended up getting hooked on the same drug that I was selling, you know what I'm saying? And it was madness going on there, man. I mean, you had drug dealers all over the place, and that particular area, there was a lot of private houses. But the stuff that was going on there, man, I mean, listen, I couldn't believe it. But a lot of people from New York was coming to D.C. to make money. Alpo was there from Harlem. He came down, you know what I'm saying, you know, they finally did arrest him, but he made a lot of money in D.C., man, you know what I'm saying, and I ran into him in Mayfair, in Landover, you know what I'm saying, you know, different parts of D.C., man, that at that time was known to sell drugs, you know what I'm saying, you know, and so I went through a lot of stuff while I was in that environment, man. I seen a lot of the pain and misery that it caused when people were on crack, and the stuff that crack sent them through, and the stuff they went through while they was on that particular drug. You know what I'm saying? It was so devastating to me because I actually experienced the pain and what people do under the influence of that particular drug. So, you know what I'm saying? I was glad to actually be back in DC, but it was really hurting my heart, man, you know what I'm saying, in the trials and tribulations that I went through while I was in that environment, and the stuff that me and my baby mother went through while we was dealing with that particular element, you know what I'm saying, of our life. So I came back and seen the house. The condition the house was in, man, I think it was up for sale. It was, I guess they're gonna hook it up and build it back up, but I actually went back to the spot where I was. And then there was another spot where we used to all be on the corner, all of us doing our thing. And on that particular corner, you know what I'm saying, they tried to kill me on that particular corner. I have a scar right here in the middle of my head, man. Everybody asks me, yo, Seville, where do you get that scar from? You know what I'm saying? The scar is right here in my head. But they tried to murder me, and it wasn't my time to go. And I went to DC General. There was a hospital at that time called DC General. It's no longer there. They tore it down. But they saved my life. You know what I'm saying? You know, and not too long after that, you know what I'm saying, I got caught for selling that 20 rock. You know what I'm saying? And I ended up going to Lawton, Virginia to do time. I did 28 months down there. I went to Aquan, you know what I'm saying? I went to Central. I went to the medium facility. You know what I'm saying? They had another one over the wall. You know what I'm saying? So I've been to DC, man, and it was a lot of changes that I went through, man, while I was in that environment. But I learned a lot about another culture. You know, but DC, man, is a beautiful place. The people here are beautiful, man. I can't say that everything in DC, man, was negative for me. I met some good people. You know what I'm saying? I came upon a lot of things that I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And people that was in this environment taught me a lot of things that was very interesting about life itself. So DC, man, was a good experience and a bad experience, man. But I had to say something about that, so y'all would know, man, that I did live other places. I did experience other, you know, things in other environments. Man, DC was one of the main places where I actually got myself together. I got out of jail in 1994, and I came back to New York. You know what I'm saying? But I lived in DC for 7 years, and experienced a lot of stuff went on in DC. Like I said, negative and positive. But at the end of the day, man, I was so glad to be back. For my daughter's, for my granddaughter's birthday party, and to come back up here, man, and fellowship, you know what I'm saying, with my family members, my baby mother, and the rest of the family that I know.